Hello and welcome to Night Talk. But before we get started with our episode plan, I just want to bring up why we started Night Talk.
Okay.
You know, because I had this thought all night after being at work, and I'm like, why are we doing this channel? And it was like a thought process, like a dream, that woke me up to, even think of saying Night Talk is going to be a channel about cryptids, paranormal, to even zoology, to mythos of gods and I just want to do this for fun, but I also want to throw in my heart and make this something big, something that everybody can, enjoy watching later on.
So at some point you can sit back and say, I was a part of this history.
Yeah.
I wasn't in it for the money or the fame. It was my choice, my life, my feelings put into it, my heart and soul.
Yeah.
For the fans, for the people out there, not just for them, but for your own self.
Like, how many people can say that they are making a paranormal radio station? Or even something like of mythos, such as creepypastas, like we've been doing, like the Black Swan, the Black Shook, the Capwa.
Capwa.
Yes.
The Swan Maidens and such, yeah. The Chupacabra.
Yeah, and
more to come.
But we're doing all these different researches on every episode, and it's just because we want to.
Just for fun right now. Definitely in the future for fun.
Right now we're in the middle. Like we've been making our day breaks. Like deadlines of every day that we do this.
Oh yeah.
Wednesday, Saturday, Sundays, and we are now in full circle of our first week ending.
Yeah. I mean, that is true. We have been planning it out. We've been talking, getting together. And we are neighbors, which makes it great because we don't have to travel far to communicate. And you're right, we have been.
But it's not even that. It's like where you. It's like you say you're going to do a project and it never comes into fruition.
Yeah.
It's a word of thought.
Yeah. Most people, they want to do it, they plan to do it,
but they never do it because it's like, oh, I don't have time to do it. I have work and excuses, and that's exactly my point.
Okay.
And like, if you want to make a channel and do something,
put your heart into it.
Do it. Give it a try. Try out different things. If you're doing book reviews where you're doing stage cameras and you have to do all the editing.
I mean, it really could be anything. I mean, it's almost endless of what you could actually do. And
there's no right and wrong to it. There is no right and wrong to creativity. There is no right and wrong in art. And this is a form of its own art.
Yeah. So, I guess to answer that, I know for my sake, I'm in it for the fun, the thrill, the education. That's a big part. The entertainment, the friendship.
Yeah.
This has sparked a really good friendship between us. It's definitely things that we're both interested in, that you can't really find too often outside in the other worlds, other cities, other places, because it's such a low common interest, I guess.
And what's cool about this channel, that we do our live streams, right now we're playing Skyrim. But when it comes to our later episodes, whatever subjects are, there'll be other games to play that have those cryptoids in them.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like that game we saw the other day with the gods, the mythical gods and creatures. There's games like that we're definitely planning on getting, so it's more in tune. And when we do our episodes, whatever it is, we'll try to actually get it to what that is. Just like we had the giants on here.
Yeah.
And
what's interesting. Like, this game has so many different mythologies in it.
Yeah, like these things right here, it's just...
Those are, like, literally Cthulhu's, like, ticks, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, Hermaeus Morum is one of the main antagonists that kind of, like, follow you around through Skyrim, making you, like, its, follower. And you learn, new dragon spells because of it.
Yeah.
Especially in the area that you're in, because you get to meet him.
And this is what, Solstein?
This is in Solstein, the Dragonborn DLC.
Yeah. But, to get back on topic, it has been so far an exciting thing to do, and basically the first episodes were in somewhat of a test, prototype, a kickstart to really see what could happen, I guess. I mean, would you have to agree with that?
Look, it was just we had an idea, and we wanted to test it out with something.
And the only way to do it is to do it.
Yes, and we came up with ideas. Like the first episode was the Black Shook, and we had a storyline for it. And you gave out a story. You told about Nugs, the Black Shook.
Yeah.
And he was a main portion of it. And that's the creativity that we get. And it's not like we script everything.
No, it's very little script. I mean, the only scripting is basically the information that we're writing down and the basis line of how we wanted our intro to be and what we think the timelines and stuff are. That's
all we do. And
the rest of it's just us talking and off the top of our heads and what we've been thinking and what we've been talking about previously.
And like I said, we even have it written down. Join us. Tune in and ask away.
Oh, yeah.
This
is on air live, right?
Yeah. And, we may do 20 minutes, 30-minute episodes. Our last one was an hour.
Yeah, that was 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 27 minutes, or whatever it was, and then an hour. So it's a big change. And honestly, in the future, they'll be like that. We might even have videos that are 5 minutes long,
Just quick little storylines.
Yeah,
quick
or
definitions.
Maybe one day we'll have one that's 5 hours, and it's one of those things that you just tune in for part of it, or if you really have nothing going that day, you tune in for the whole thing. You sit down with some food and popcorn or whatever, and be a part of it.
And just watch the story unfold. In Skyrim, you're hearing us speak about anything that's going on throughout the episode. And since this is like a radio station, and it's a video, it's like a live radio.
We want the listeners and the fans and the followers to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I know that subscribing, might take a credit card or whatever. You don't have to.
No, it doesn't take anything. You just hit that little button that says subscribe on there.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Hit the little bell that you get our notification saying we're going live. And our days. We've said it through every episode.
Yeah.
Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays. 5 o'clock.
And those are going to be the main base days. I know we've talked about the ideas of throwing in like Creepypasta Friday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
This channel is going to not only move forward with
give
cryptoids.
Give them the list of the basics that we're going to be covering in the future.
Okay, we are from the start. We have a list of cryptids from other countries to America to Canada to Russia to Saudi Arabia.
Well over 78. It's not more.
A bunch. And then I wanted to move up to, doing stories such as creepypastas, personal ghost stories, natural horrors.
Yeah.
And those ones,
I don't even know what these would be. Goblins?
They're like little goblins.
I'm not doing too good with the bow today.
And also, including later on when we decide to stop doing the live streams, which that won't happen. We'll do live streams, but we'll also have pre-recorded stuff where we're going out, maybe investigating
even, trailers
areas
and stuff. I guess trailers or advertisements of our own stuff. What we might do in the future.
A thumbnail or so.
Heck, we've even talked about doing the actual, like what you just said, the paranormal investigations.
Yeah,
where we go out in the field. We literally go out in the field. We leave our studio. We get our gear and we go out and we investigate this. We spend time out there.
2-3 days, and then you might not have that episode for at least a week or two because of
if we live. I mean, who's to say we don't?
Not even living. We might live through hearing ourselves recorded,
being killed by something, whatever we're finding.
Yeah, exactly. But
I don't mind being the first to be caught on camera being eaten by whatever. I mean, that would make us.
I kind of. Well, I will personally make a radio episode based on your death.
Yeah.
And I will. Hopefully, I find the video evidence.
Patron's Fate.
Patron's Fate. Perfect titlement. Wait for that in the next coming years.
If anything, my fate would end up being with my favorite beloved Bigfoot, and or one of our topics today, Megalodon. or Megalodon.
Oh, the Megalodon.
And that's just because I grew up in the desert and I don't go near oceans.
It sounds like some sort of kind of food. Is it a food?
Megalodon?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately you cannot purchase this delicious delicacy at Megalomart, i.e. from Hank Hill, or King of the Hill. The Megalodon is actually supposed to be extinct. They estimated it to be living between 2328 to 1.5 to 2.6 million years ago. And there was even records of a bone of their teeth being found, and they kind of want to estimate it to be 10,000 years. And if it's 10,000 years old, then that means it's 23 to 28 million to 10,000 years versus 1.5 million years.
Yeah.
And real quick, just so people understand what this Megalodon is, the name is ancient Greek, and it means megas, which is big and mighty, and then you have the word, it's hard to pronounce here, Odin, O-D-O-N, and that means tooth, so big tooth, mighty tooth. That's what Megalodon means, is big tooth. And their tooth size, the ones that they were found in, I think in length and diameter, whatever it's called, is about 6 inches. So 6 inches long, 6 inches wide. Imagine a tooth like that. The great white sharks is about, you can find them a half an inch to about 2 inches. And that's just the great white shark. So the Megalodon is an oversized great white shark that appeared to exist that time ago. And during this area, there were even whales. There's one called the Livyatan, Livyatan, and that was estimated to live 9.9 to 8.9 million years ago, which puts it in the time that this Megalodon existed. And like we were talking about the giants the other days, during this time period, everything was bigger. I mean, this whale, the Livyatan, it wasn't a filter feeder. It straight up had teeth, razor sharp teeth, and you could almost see the Megalodon and the Livyatan going at it, fighting for each other. Megalodon is the predator, the Livyatan's the prey. They go at it, they fight each other, big beasts of the sea. And you can only imagine that time period. The animals in the water were just as big as the animals on land, and they could even get down to as small as plankton. Everything existed from the size of micro to the size of King Kong, T-Rex stuff. You know what I mean? Huge. Way beyond our comparisons. So the estimated size was 20 to 60 feet for a full-grown Megalodon, with about 40 to 65, maybe 70 feet, as records go. About 50,000 to 100,000 pounds, which you imagine that's a lot of meat.
Sounds like a lot of it.
It is a lot of meat. I mean, I don't know. I've never been in the water. I've never seen a great white shark up close. I have seen videos. On the video themselves, they look humongous. When I hear stories about a 10-foot to 20-foot great white shark, that's long. I mean, if you really look at it, that's long. That's a big fish. And I wouldn't want to be close to that. So the Megalodon just kind of makes you think a little bit. And it's a real thing. They found the tooth. It's a real thing, so it's a proven fact. The only question is, does it exist nowadays? Because, there's been these occurrences where they compare the Megalodon to the black demon, aka the black shark, which
is like a bigger version of the great white shark.
Imagine a great white shark, instead of the hue color of white and grayish black on the back, it's more of a just straight black. Imagine that, and a little bit bigger. There's been these reports of recent, actually, of like even 2008 on the Sea of Cortez, the Baja Peninsula in Mexico. The fishermen and the local people are being terrorized by something. They can't really describe what, but they know it's an aquatic creature. They know it's a resemblance of a shark. They know it is big, they know it is black, and they call it the Black Demon.
So,
aka El Demonio Negro.
Where would you think that the Megalodon would be hiding at? Like, if it was anywhere?
So, the reason why they think the possibilities for extinction was that this shark, to make it simple, animals have this natural instinct when their food source starts running out, they will follow wherever these food sources are going. And so this is basically what was happening. This was during the era of evolution, and they reported,
like Darwinism.
Exactly. And so they estimate that these food sources for the Megalodon were moving to colder areas. And so they think that the Megalodon, using its instincts, followed these animals, the prey, but because it's a shark, I forgot if it's warm-blooded or cold-blooded, they cannot do well in cold water. They need actually somewhat of a warm degree of water, and they say that they just couldn't survive. It was too cold for them, and they died out. But your question of where I think they would be, as well as other reporters and investigators, it would only make sense. There's this place called the Mariana Trench, which is northish of Guam, in the Western Pacific, and
that's like the deepest area. Like,
it is one of the, as far as we know, the ocean isn't even more than, they estimate about 5% discovered. I'll give a big number and say we haven't even discovered more than 10% of our ocean, which is still a small number. So far, the Mariana Trench, you could put Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain. Oh, hey, a werebear. Off
Time
topic.
for the werebear stare.
These are half bear, half werewolf creatures, which maybe we'll get into another episode one day. But back on topic, back to the Megalodon, back to the Mariana Trench. They know for a fact that we could put Mount Everest, the world's tallest mountain, into the Mariana Trench and still have 2 kilometers or about 2-3 miles of space between the top, the peak of the mountain, and the top of the surface of the ocean. And, 2 miles down the ocean is a lot. Imagine having the whole Mount Everest in there and still have 2 miles of space to swim between. That's a deep space, and so they think that if somehow they evolved to adapt to colder temperatures, it is pretty cold down there, that they could survive. And, the numbers could be very little. It could be, honestly, a male and a female shark, maybe 4. A male and a female over here and a male and a female over here. Somehow they managed to produce and keep the bloodline going, I guess, but it would have to be a very small number because the occurrences are so rare, and often mistaken for a basking shark or a whale shark, which are both filter feeders. They do not attack and prey on humans or fleshy food.
Well, I'm glad, because they're big.
They're huge. They
could
whale
take out
shark,
a person if they had teeth and everything.
Even now, if they had the true intention to, they could use their weight and manipulate their weight to some. I mean, honestly, if you take a swipe from a tail in the water from those things, and it doesn't go right, they could knock your scuba tank right off the tube, and next thing you know, you're gasping for air. So they are the 2 largest shark species known right now: the basking and the whale shark. Both very peaceful. So the misidentifications were very easy because both these sharks do not prey on humans. So the stories with the Megalodon and the black shark are someone will be on their boat in Mexico, the fishermen will be on their boat, and pow, they hit something all of a sudden where there shouldn't be any rocks, there shouldn't be any kelp, no reefs, and nothing, no carcasses. There's nothing to resemble hitting something. Oftentimes whales and dolphins and fish will be ran over by boats and motors, but there's immediately obvious signs of it. There's the blood.
Yeah.
There's the shredding of the blubber in the carcass. Obviously, something's going on. We know reports that the sharks existed. The big question is, does it exist? If it does, where is it hiding, and how has it been able to remain so elusive? There's always a question: is, are great white sharks just juveniles in a long period of growth that we know of? I mean, it's the questioning is just, it's insane. And like I said, you can't prove it until you're out there in the ocean looking at the beast in the eyes. But all over the place in Mexico, something is terrorizing these locals, where they have nightmares about it, they talk about it, some of them won't even go back on the water because of their experiences. It's frightened them that much that they call their their 20 years plus or whatever lifetime of their trading a fish quits just because of that experience, which I don't blame them if I had that kind of experience.
Well, even if you're in the ocean for 20 years, like, doing that same job, like...
And you've never seen something like that.
I would question all reality.
And all of a sudden something like that just pops up. Now, granted, almost every day, honestly, something, in a sense, is discovered new about this Earth. Again, the oceans have been rarely discovered. So it's not impossible to say that this creature does exist. I'm a firm believer in it. I know it existed. I'm almost positive it is extinct. If any chance there's maybe one or two, the number would have to be so few that it's enough to keep the population going, but it's on the verge that if something were to happen to it, that's the end of it. And quite honestly, the evidence that's been shown, that I've found, that I've seen, is not enough for me to say that it is still out there. Even with the giant bits of whale, I mean, I've watched videos of orcas, even two different groups that normally don't associate with each other. Orcas tend to stay in their own groups. They often don't fight each other, but they just, you know what I mean, they stay away. Two groups come together to attack a gray whale and her cow, the cow and the calf. And the force that these orcas did to this whale were just like, holy cow. But at the same time, they did not, as described in one of the videos with the whale ripped in half or whatever, take out a giant piece in one bite. That wasn't seen with any orcas, and that hasn't been known. So the evidence is so slim that you just you gotta have that 50% I believe in it, 50% it's a hoax.
Well, if you find a giant tooth and they did the protein tests...
No, the tooth is the real physical evidence. That can't be faked, and if it is faked, like I always say, it's a very good fake. But the point is, they did a fiber optic test of this tooth they found, and it did date about 10,000 years old, which means that the whole 2.6 million to 23 to 28 million years ago is false, and it's more of the range of 10,000 years to 20 some odd million years ago, which would be a huge difference. From going from 1.5 million to 10,000 years is a huge remarkable discovery, fate.
Oh wow.
Let me get a drink here.
So the Megalodon, he did exist. We don't know if it exists today.
We do not know if it exists today. There are rumors.
We discover new forms of species of shark, spiders,
insects,
rabbits,
mammals, all kinds of stuff.
And that's the thing about Earth. We're still discovering stuff.
Yeah, we haven't even discovered everything on our own planet. And that's the real crazy part, is you look at that and you can say, wow, then there's that 50% that says, okay, it might be there. I mean, look at the giant squid. A lot of people were very skeptic about that and said, no, that's impossible. But then, boom, physical 100% proof of this existence of the giant squid right there on the table for everyone to see. You can't deny it. And that just basically shuts all the skeptics on that up, and, you got to accept it, or sit there and say, you know what, I don't even care, whatever, I'm wrong, and that's it. I still think I'm right. There's only two ways of going out through that. And with the Megalodon, I want to believe that if it was existing now, there would be definite signs of it. I also have to take in play that our own animals that we know of, i.e. the orca, one of my favorite sea mammals, because their intelligence level is far more than we even think. I've seen these documentaries, and it's like we think we know them, but we have no clue what really is going on in their mind, as well as every other animal out there. And if they can do these intellectual, strategical tactics, then there's no doubt that a megalodon, shark, or any other of these mythological cryptid creatures can do the same. And as far as that's all I got about the megalodon. Both the black demon, black shark, and the megalodon are reported to be the same weight, same size, so they're wondering if the black shark is an evolutionized or adapted species of the megalodon that has evolved throughout the years to be more adapted to the Earth, the way it is now, and that's the way it is, black shark, or if it's a whole another entire species, or if it's just simply the Megalodon.
Is it a shark? Is it a dragon? Or is it a giant bird in the sky? It could even... The Megalodon could even be the Thunderbird hiding from humankind. And that is where... Remember I told you that there was something that I just found out about the Thunderbird, and it came from, like, this mythos that kind of, like, contradicts it. I'm going to give the definition of the Thunderbird and a bit of its history.
Okay, let's hear it.
And so, the legendary Thunderbird myths come from Native Americans regarding... from tribes from the Pacific Northwest to the southeastern United States.
Uh-huh.
So the Thunderbird is a huge, intelligent bird with a wingspan who is directly connected to weather changes.
Yeah.
And the bird was said to, every time it flaps, it would cause thunderclaps. It would cause thunder, like just
like
the sound of it.
Hear, like...
Yeah, just every time it would flap.
Okay, wow.
And depending on who you ask about this legendary bird, it is said that it can also shoot lightning from its eyes.
So it's basically like a god?
If you think about it, it could be a god, or it could be a legendary Pokemon.
Okay.
Named Zapdos.
Zapdos?
Yeah. Because Pokemon based Zapdos off the legendary mythos of the Thunderbird. That's why you can find him in a power plant that's hidden off the map of Cerulean City.
What is that? Pokemon Go?
No, it's on Pokemon the first gen of Pokemon, like Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow.
Okay.
Yes, we're not promoted by Nintendo to talk about Nintendo products, but yeah, Pokemon
it was a
in
question.
general. Yeah, it's a question. But yeah, it was during Pokemon. During the very first era, and I loved playing those games.
Yeah.
But some tribes put them on totems with teeth in its beak.
Yeah, we were doing research, and I saw them, and the way they drew it out is very interesting. And just to tell the fans, when you say natives, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Native Americans such as the Navajo, the Hopi, and then going straight down to Mexican cultures as well.
So Northern and Southern American natives. Okay, cool.
So if we combine those two together, and they all have similar storylines.
And I just want to add, to the fans that Native Americans generally do not make stuff up. Everything that is a part of their life has been passed down through generations and generations, and so, if something like this is documented, then there's very good signs that it does exist. Right?
Well, that gets to this next point that I'm saying. Researchers actually argue, about this. They don't say that it didn't exist.
Yeah.
But what they do say is that the legend that it comes from are from actual birds that already exist today.
Okay.
Like, you look up at the sky, right, and you see a bird. Can you estimate how big it is based on from the distance of your eyes?
I mean,
from the sight from you see it from up in the sky.
Personally, myself,
I've
seen a hawk / eagle, whatever it was, drop an animal from a good distance, but telling the size, it's pretty hard to tell. Yeah. I mean, I could only imagine if it was a bigger bird. There's no mistaking in size.
This morning we had a plane literally block out the sun for a quick second.
Oh yeah.
That's looking up at the sky, and you think, oh, that's a tiny plane. No, it just took out the sun for like a minute.
Yeah.
But they say that their early sightings were descendants of the pterodactyl species.
Which are from the dinosaur times.
Yeah, but like similar descendants of them, such as let's say the vulture,
the
condor, and condors, they reach large wingspans.
Yeah, the California condor, especially, it's huge. It's bigger than the bald eagle. I mean, in comparison size, it is the size of what a pterodactyl would be.
And there are also reports of sightings, but no proof of its existence. There's always the sightings.
Yeah, the sightings.
But no cameras, no documentation that's proven.
And it seems when there are cameras, it's very
blurry,
very vivid, very
280p frame rate per second kind of thing, like just terrible quality.
Yeah.
Like basic 90s camera work.
Yeah, exactly. makes it hard to decipher.
And that's what makes it a cryptid.
Uh-huh.
But is it possible that it could shapeshift and blend in with humankind?
You know, there are rumors of that, so it's very likely. Let's hear
But that kind of reads the argument of, like, you know, being it part of a bird series of pterodactyls.
Yeah.
And being a legendary bird, because if it can turn into a shapeshifter, if it's a shapeshifter,
it could turn into anything realistically.
Sometimes they also say, you know, it's more of a giant bat.
Yeah.
With, you know, less feathers.
What's the wingspan? What's the size?
The wingspan would be about, estimated at? If you were to take two human beings, and stretch their arms from arm to arm, that's how big that span was.
So roughly 9 to 12 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Holy cow.
That's just the wingspan alone. That's just like an estimation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, from the question earlier, if you could see a bird in the sky, could you spot the size? You know, telling you right now, the biggest bird I've ever seen was in fact an eagle, and you know, you can tell the size up close. Obviously, it's like, you know, 3 to 5 feet. Some of them 6, but in the sky you can really tell the difference. So I guarantee you that if you were to see this Thunderbird in the sky, there's no comparison. You could easily tell the difference between that and say maybe an eagle or a hawk, for sure.
And that's where it comes down to. It comes down to actually seeing, like you said before, seeing is believing, or you're a true skeptic. And
or you're in the middle and you're just like, I want to believe it, but I want the proof.
And there's always that third body, like that third party part where it's like, I believe in ghosts, but I'm a skeptic of ghosts.
Yeah, you have to have the real evidence.
It's more like I like the stories.
Yeah, the
ghosts.
thrill.
It's the thrill of it,
excitement.
But I've never touched a Ouija board in my life, kind of thing. I've never had that energy of sort.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're for me. I don't think I'll ever touch one, just because I have my own. Like I said that one time, I'm not super superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, and I'm stitious enough to stay away from them. I won't. No matter what, I remember.
So
once...
what I have here, right under this little thing.
Oh my God! It's a Ouija board. Get that out of here. No, one time I was almost, in a sense, pressured to try to use a Ouija board and call out ghosts or whatever in this one old abandoned house. And I basically straight up just up and left, and you know, my friends thought it was funny, but I was like, nope.
Did you?
I'm not being a part of that. Did I what?
So you left before it even started?
Like, I left before it even started. When they asked about it and they say, let's do this, I left. That's when I was like, nope. Adios, I'm out of here. No, thank you. And that's just for my own personal beliefs.
Yeah. See, like me personally, I've told about the ghost story where we had a little Ouija board on top of our roof and then a dead raven on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was in our last episode.
That was the last episode.
That was our last episode. And so, I want, like, to be honest, I want to get a Ouija board.
Yeah.
And I won't have you involved if you didn't want to.
No, I won't. I'll tell you right now, I'll be out of that one.
But like, for my own personal research,
I'll make sure that if anything happens to you, that everything's
continue on
care of. Yeah,
I will write down.
I'll do tryouts. Maybe write down some recommendations first of who you think might be able to fill your shoes.
I think before even I get a Ouija board, I think we need to take a trip to the ocean. I think we need to go hunt down this Megalodon.
Why don't we use a Ouija board on a surfboard in the middle of the ocean? How about that?
I'm down.
Because then, honestly,
we can probably ask the Megalodon, hey, where are you now?
I would be comfortable with that, because either way, my anxiety would be up to the sky at that point. So either way, it wouldn't be that bad. Because
stuck in the ocean with a Ouija board.
See, I don't have a fear of the ocean itself or death of it. It's more of I don't like what I can't see. You know, and so I've never been a fan of walking in water that I can't see.
So that's that horror movie part where something brushes against your foot and you panic. That's what...
No, not at all, because I've actually... That's funny you mentioned that, because I have a shark story. I swear to God, because I felt the leatheriness of... I forgot the name they call these scales. Tentacles or something. They're weird. It's almost sounds similar to tentacles. I'll look it up. But anyways, I was out in the ocean. My aunt and my cousin convinced me this was in Florida, to go out in the ocean, and this was far. I don't know how far, but I'm just going to estimate maybe 100 yards. And to me, that seemed like 5 miles. I did not like that at all. I convinced them to let me use their floaty, their donut floaty. They did not have anything. And I swear to God, whatever it is, that something swooped and brushed up. And I'm talking deep. We were in deep water, and it may have been a fish, but I felt fish, and this felt more of a leathery scale, which are what shark's skin is. It's more of a leather, and rubbed opposite, it will cut your hand. And after that, I didn't freak out, because I knew if I freaked out, it's not going to make a difference. And so I was just kind of in a calm way. I was just like, okay, I'm going back to the shore. And so I made my way, and I was like, honestly, hopefully they go after my aunt and cousin first, because that gives me a little extra time to get to the shore. And it's not like
it's a running race where you can trip the next person. No, I guess you could flatten the floaties.
Well, no.
Really
what's even worse is that's the thing, is they didn't have floaties, so I was the one with the floaty. They would have pardon my language, they would have popped my floaty, and then I would have been stranded out there, and then I would have been like, oh my God, I'm about to die from whatever, until a lifeguard came and got me, probably, or I just floated back up ashore. Anyways, the ocean for me is just a place where, I wasn't meant to be in there. It's only because of man's ingenuity that we've created scuba tanks, and we've seen animals and used their natural instincts and lifestyles to mimic and copycat, being able to use scuba tanks and stuff to actually go in the ocean, submarines. I don't believe in that. Just like the whole flying thing. I love flying. I like the thrill of taking off and landing. It's like an amusement ride, but honestly, we were not meant to be up in the sky. I try to limit myself on that too, just because I don't believe that we should be up there. Same with space. If we're meant to be in space, then I guess there's a reason why we have spaceships, is because that's why we're meant to be in space. But
I think, on the topic of space, it is a giant, vast, nothingness.
It's basically like an infinite ocean without gravity and without creatures just swimming everywhere.
It is called the Star Ocean.
Exactly.
And what's cool about it is that, you could, if you had a ship, you could go and you could surpass, I'm going to die from this little thing.
Goblins.
Yeah.
We'll just call them goblins.
Goblin goops.
Goblin-goops.
But, if you were able to break Einstein's theory of relativity with that.
Yeah.
E equals mc squared. So if you can go past the speed of light, even have wormhole technology, portals, portal bubbles, which they've been, thinking of using.
Yeah.
Being able to, use antimatter as a way of breaking in and bending space.
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot to think about, may I add. I mean, that's immense. That's evolution at its best.
And if we could sail out, find other planets to explore.
Yeah. Just like we have with our own in our galaxy.
But to be honest, I think we're too primitive for it.
Yeah.
I think we're not advanced enough to actually harvest other stuff, terraforming other planets. We want to terraform Mars, but it doesn't have enough magnetosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have it doesn't have a good enough atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the only way to really do that, you launch a few nuclear bombs on the poles, and then you have to wait thousands of years.
Which by that time, our generations who planned it would be long gone.
And depending on how today's world is, today's society, they might even forget it existed. Kind of like how, what was that movie, Idiocracy or something?
Well, even then, I mean, we want to talk about that. I watched a video the other day that I honestly feel ashamed of myself, considering myself. I don't consider myself a genius, but I'm a genius. I am far from stupid. And I watched a video about the Spartans, and it amazes me. They do not teach you the true facts about history in school. I can tell you right now, in all my years of school, from kindergarten up to the 12th grade, senior high school, they did not tell you that the Spartan culture, in fact, had two kings running them. It was always the one king. That's what they told us in school.
Well, yeah.
Let alone
like
all kinds of other. And I'm just using them as an example.
Well,
same with the whole slavery bit and mythical creatures. You almost have to think: are we at this point
what if we're
taught and programmed a certain way to disbelieve these things, or just not even, like you said, not even acknowledge it and basically forget it as its existence?
Like when you make books and you make stories for educational systems.
Yeah.
History is written by the victors. And that is the rule that you have to remember.
Yes.
And the idea of, like, if you're talking about Spartans and having two kings, well, did you know that when you were taught in school, such as elementary school, they only told you that there's one atmosphere?
See, that's the thing, is honestly, in school, we didn't even cover space until early high school. In my field, and I grew up in Tucson, and did most of my schooling here. I did a little bit up in where we're at now, 7th and 8th grade, and a little bit of 9th. We didn't really cover the space too much, as far as all that we knew was about our 8 or 9 planets. How many planets we have now, I don't know, they change it.
Well, supposedly we have a mysterious planet that's somewhere around in Neptune's orbit that's going to come collide with us, called Nibiru.
Yeah, so,
and
that's
how it biblical. Changes. That's a biblical thing there.
Yeah, and so it changes, and so my point is that they really didn't cover a lot of stuff like that, the true facts. And so it's always interesting to, as the more I push myself away from modern society, the more I find out about the deep history and realisticness of the way our Earth is formed and how we are now and why we are now. If you think about it, we are here because of all the previous civilizations and the previous cultures.
Well, if you think about it like this, it looks like a leech. But when Einstein said this, the reason why, and this is a good question, why would you go to school? Is it about learning? No, it's not. It's not about learning. It's how you use your brain.
Yeah.
It's a way to find. It's like problem solving.
Or more or less, it was supposed to be like that.
It's yeah, exactly. You're not taught to use your brain.
No,
to
not
use
anymore.
Your mind.
Not anymore.
That's why school is there, to make you think.
Are you saying that school is there to basically contradict itself, to make you think, why isn't this school teaching us other stuff? I mean, I just got to say, they dropped home ec, life skills.
Yeah, they dropped all those from classes.
The stuff that actually matters in life.
Sewing.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff, they dropped it. So are you saying that the schooling nowadays, most of them, I can't say all of them because I have heard about a few very great schools that focus on realistic facts. Are you saying that they basically contradict themselves?
No, what I'm saying is when you go to school, it's not about like full-on education. Yes, you can learn your 2+2s and everything, but it's how you solve the equation.
See, I personally, just with my experiences of recent, to me, that's not how school works. They rarely make you use your mind. If anything, it's a prolonged zombification where it's a bunch of useless information.
It's about creativity and imagination. Like, yes, you're limited to a lot of stuff between kindergarten up to high school, because they don't teach you fundamental stuff after you leave high school to go into college, into the real world, such as jobs.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to do your taxes. They don't teach you about home businesses.
Not anymore, but they used to. They used to 100%.
Now it's just like, here's a few history classes, some math, algebra, calculus maybe, but
I think it's more of a fact. To me, school is a way to pre-program you to see if you're fundamentally able to subject yourself to this slave sort of life where you can sit down in an uncomfortable desk for many, many hours hating it just because you have to and you're being forced to. To me, school nowadays is a thing that most kids see as either I get to go hang out with people that I like to hang out with, but the worst part for them, you can ask many, many kids, the worst part for them is the actual quote-unquote learning bit that should matter, and they make it to a point where, I felt that way. I was basically not forced, but it felt like it was a forced thing I did not enjoy school because, one, they didn't have the curriculums that I was interested, i.e. home ec, wood shop, life skills, wilderness survival even. I know you know the school I'm talking about, where they actually did teach you how to somewhat survive, the basics of survival in the wilderness, which in life, if you go back, that's where it all started. Life was survival. There were no phones, there were no grocery stores, there were no pampered
so before
items.
I'm going to pause you for a moment.
Yeah.
Just as a word out, we're not saying don't go to school. We're not saying
not
drop
at all,
out.
Not at all.
Knowledge is power.
If anything, continue going to school to prove a point that you can do more than that. You can use the basic information that they gave you to wake up and understand that you can learn more than what they taught you. There's a lot more out there to learn. There's an infinite amount
I'm just
of
saying,
knowledge.
after the first 8 to 9 grades, that's your trial period.
It is, that's kind of what I was saying, is it's a trial period for how our modern day life is now, because if you look throughout history, schooling has always changed with the evolution of how our society is. Every different society has a different way of teaching.
Now schooling requires you to full-on have a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people these days...
Internet or some sort like that.
You have to have the internet, you have to have a computer that runs their programs.
Some sort of phone service, and there's even, workforces that require you to have an app to keep in contact with you, and it's, like you were about to say, some people just can't do that. And they're not... Just like with the hunger thing, we have the technology and the ability to stop and prevent hunger and thus forth make it never happen. But exactly, it's about profit. It's about keeping the way the world is current. They don't want it to change drastically until they want it to change. And when I say they, I have no clue who I'm talking about.
They a mysterious group of people.
It could be the government. It could be extraterrestrial beings. It could be Bigfoot. Bigfoot could be controlling this.
Everything.
They could be flying in on Thunderbirds and riding in on Megalodons, controlling this world.
And having black shooks, attacking everybody with misfortune. But we don't know that.
Well, that's where
we're asking questions.
That's why this show is here. It's so we can talk it out. We can dig deep and investigate it. There's, like I was saying, we're not saying don't go to school. We're saying educate yourself. We're saying by going to school, by being a part of the way they're programmed thing, you can first-handedly experience the evidence that basically proves that we're right. Schooling is not the way it used to be. It's not about...
And you will never experience that. That's the thing. You won't experience how we learn stuff in school.
Or even how the people before our generation... we won't ever learn... I'll say right now, I will never learn the stuff that my great-grandfather learned, or his father learned, or the before and before and before.
Well, I guess I could learn 2 + 2 again.
Not even that. They didn't learn that stuff. They learned trades.
Well, yeah, always...
It was not, let's work at a fry shop. It was what your parents did really influenced you on how your life began and how it turned out.
So, and that's also a subject of, a matter of careers.
Well, let's just say this. Imagine your father was a farmer, right?
Yes.
And has been, and his father was, and his father was. All right, 2 things are really going to play out. 1, you're going to take on the farming trade, right?
Yeah.
Or 2, because of this long period of genetic farming...
You want something different.
You're going to want something different, and it's going to push you away from it, so you'll either become a gunslinger, a blacksmith, a bandit,
a city boy,
a rough rider, a city boy, a sea boy...
whatever
endless.
You want to be, and that's the thing. You choose what you want to do.
And that's the point that we're trying to make, is with the whole cryptid thing, too, is you don't have to believe it. You don't have to sit here and believe everything we say. We don't expect you to. We don't even want you to. Honestly,
we expect you to come up, ask us, hey, what is this?
We want you to ask us to give you the proof that we may think. We want you to question our philosophy and why. If we say something, tell us. Say, why do you think that? Tell me why you think that, and why do you believe that? And gladly we will tell you, but you have to ask.
Exactly. And that's why we say sub, watch us.
Tune in and ask away.
And, it's... Like I said, we're playing Skyrim.
And that's just for fun right now.
That's for fun.
It's honestly
the main point is just
game.
The radio. We're just radio hosts. That's all we are.
We want you to be able to look at something that... and we're not doing too well at always staying active, but we want you to see constant movement And that's another point is when you see constant movement, your
and
brain...
we take turns taking this controller in.
And sometimes we just set it down and leave it on a scene.
Yeah.
But, you know, the more your brain moves around and uses, the more information you can...
the more information is gaining and depleting over time.
Exactly.
There's stuff that you don't use anymore that is going to erase itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll be a faint memory back there, but you can't say what it is.
Yeah. And unfortunately, over time, they say the younger you are, the more you suck in your brain.
You absorb so much up to age 25.
You know, I'm guilty of it too. When I was a kid, this whole cryptid stuff, this mythological stuff, even gods and going into that, somewhat did not exist to me because it wasn't how I was raised. It wasn't a part of my life. But I guarantee you, if I was subjected to it at a younger age, because the only creature that I was subjected to at a young age, I could say, is Bigfoot and El Chupacabra, and to this day they're stuck in me. I can't get over them. I know so much about them. I can talk so much about them. And that's just because at a young age, those creatures somewhat were brought to me. I'll tell you right now, my Chupacabra story, when it started for me, I went out shooting for the first time. I was probably maybe 8 to 9 years old. And I went with one of my uncles, and he was the same guy who introduced the whole Bigfoot thing to me. He loved to mess with my mind. I mean, boogeyman, whatever it was, you know, he loved to mess with my mind. And we were going out to the deserts of South Tucson, out in the middle of the desert where these occurrences kind of would happen of the El Chupacabra. And, you know, he told me about it, and he worked it up. He built up the storyline. And I tell you what, when I was out there shooting in the desert, I was always on guard, like, is the Chupacabra going to come out and get us? And same with the Bigfoot up in the mountains. You know, every time I'm out there, I'm always looking for signs. I'm always hearing. I'm always trying to catch that next sound and proof of it.
Did you believe that one point when you were on those trips that you were a goat?
Not at all. I mean, maybe a creature might think I'm a goat, but not myself. I know not at all. Why do you ask that?
Well, because since the Chupacabra is called the goat sucker, yeah, it could attack people. So I just want, it's like, by searching for him.
Maybe I am a goat. Maybe we are goats. Maybe that goat simulator game is just a wake-up call.
No, maybe we're sheep. We're sheepinators. Because, no, we're not sheep. Because we don't follow what everyone says. We are not followers. We actually pay attention with our brain.
No, you and I are not sheep. What I call sheeple. Half sheep, half people.
Yeah.
Where you have the brain to associate things and make decisions, but you have that sheep-like quality where you'll just follow the herd.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. That's where it's going.
You know,
that's
we keep leading ourselves back to the same fucking spot with the skeleton and the axe.
This part?
Yes.
I haven't been here yet.
Yes, you have.
I've seen you been here just because I know there's the dead orchard, and in the background I can see the establishment that I was at, the docks.
Come back.
That's
come back
because you keep turning around.
No, I literally went a whole different path.
Did you go the same way I was going?
I left the area, and...
Because I was going that way.
I was, look, if you look to the right, that's where I started from originally, and...
Yeah, and I started
would go
going
back that way. And then you went to the cave.
And so you turned around.
Yeah, well, I turned around, but I'm just wandering
I'm
through.
searching for Megalodon, that's what I'm doing.
Well, good luck finding Megalodons.
Either the Megalodon... I'm going to find the Megalodon down here, or we're going to find the Thunderbird up there.
You know, if we had...
Which will we find first?
You know, later we'll have to play Subnautica.
What game is that?
That is an underwater game.
Completely underwater?
Completely underwater. You have to craft your own little submarine. You crash from the ocean.
Do you have it, or do you have to get it?
No, I have to get it.
Okay. Well, see, now the fans know a game that we are going to be getting in the future. We look forward to that. I don't even know what it is or what it's about, so I'm excited to find out.
So you're on a spaceship, and you're, like, investigating planets and so on, and your ship kind of, like, says, goodbye, I give up.
Yeah.
And you start crashing into this 90%, like, it's like 100% ocean. It's all water. And boom, you have to put out the fire
so
in your
it's basically
ship.
what the Earth's going to be in a few...
Exactly. As soon
100,000 years
as soon as the glaciers melt, as soon as the glaciers melt,
earthquakes.
we will have our own water world.
Yeah.
And we might have mer people then. We might even still have our show. Who knows?
What if we go from Studio 94 to something studio underwater? I don't know.
Sea Lab. 2010. 2017.
Under the Sea show?
Under the Seashell.
Show.
Oh, Sea Show. Oh, I see.
But, no, wait. We could do Under the Seashell, and the intro is a seashell. Sally Seashell Shoreshaw.
And it just
opens up, and then it's us doing the show. It's like, Night Talk. Under the Seashell.
You know, that
future plans, folks. Future plans.
We're not writing it down because it's at the 55
It may or may not
mark.
happen. We have to wait for natural disasters to go on.
Or
first.
at least a decent green screen.
But even talking about natural disasters, you know, the Thunderbird you were saying could create stuff like the thunderclap.
Yeah, it could create.
What if these natural disasters that are going on now? I have to say what if because it is a far what if.
Oh,
these creatures are causing these natural disasters, i.e., hurricanes, earthquakes, windstorms.
What if? Okay, let's think about this for a moment. What if the Thunderbird and the Megalodon? They're both mysterious giant creatures.
Yeah.
And you know how hurricanes are, right?
I've never been in one, but I know how they work.
Well, think about it more mathematically. Megalodon is water.
Yes.
And Thunderbird is literally the storm, the clouds, and everything, because it can move adverse weather conditions. So what if they are tag teaming each other and forming?
Well, it's interesting
all
you
those
said
natural
that
disasters.
Because I was reading and I didn't really go into depth of it, but there's a kind of like a opposite of the Thunderbird. The Thunderbird is of the skies and all not, and then there's like its equal opposite that controls the sea. The oceans. What if the Megalodon is this opposite counterpart? You know, just like you said. What if that's the mystery?
Well, we'd have to talk to Pokemon about that. Nintendo, see if Zapdos is...
If they have anything to do with it. What if they're hiding the secret?
What if remember that Pokemon has a lot of cryptoids right in there.
Yeah,
it does.
You were showing me that the other day, and I was a little mind blown. I never really got into Pokemon, but it was pretty
Pokemon is pretty dark. If you read their entries, and we will read them later on, probably like
Season 2 or something.
Season 2, 2.5, maybe 1.5, just as like added bonus detail.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just do Pokemon facts / the paranormal.
Yeah.
And there's like 200 to 700 different kind of Pokemon.
Really? Yeah. I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew there was a lot because you see those people, they have those books.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Pokemon. New ones now every day. And
are they really making new ones?
They're remaking, I think, Gold and Silver again. I think they have Omega Sun and Alpha Moon or something.
And so when you say that, what are the versions of that mean? I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm not a Pokemon guy.
All right. So this is going to be a little bit. This
off
is going to be so off topic that we're going into gaming at the moment. So
that's part of the show, though. People.
All right.
That's part of the show.
I'm going to start off with the first gen and second gen, which are red, blue, and yellow.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, and crystal. And those ones start out with, normal gen, no mega evolutions, no like ultra high powered beasts, where the war didn't happen.
Yeah.
And there's a war, like if you go into
in the game,
black and white, and then sun and moon. Like they tell you straight up that there was a war and that there's other parallel worlds.
Yeah.
Like there's a Pokemon world where Mega Evolution doesn't evolve, doesn't come up.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And that would be the gen line of red, blue, yellow, crystal to gold, silver, platinum, pearl, sapphire. Because pearl and sapphire and that, they control time, space, and the other dimension.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
And then when you go into sun and moon, or black and white, let's say like black and white, you have propelling dragons.
Propelling dragons.
What is a
propelling dragon?
Like, okay, so we're talking about a legendary dragon, like Reshiram. We're gonna say legendary white dragon. It's in Pokemon Black. And it's a giant dragon with a flaming propel, like a jet engine for the tail.
It's
and
powered.
It's like a self-powering thing, and it's like a yin and yang because you can't have darkness without light. And Reshiram and Zekrom are those forms.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Zekrom has a propeller kind of tail of lightning.
Okay.
And it controls the storms.
Huh. Interesting. So I mean, they do kind of in depth have huge relations to cryptids and zoology itself.
You have Aerodactyl. You have Magmar. Even a Shuckle. And a Shuckle is a turtle. A turtle-like
creature.
Tentacle thing.
Okay.
Which
I know of Pikachu.
Is just
Charizard.
a little electric mouse. A lizard that believes it's a dragon.
Oh, Pikachu?
No, Charizard.
Charizard.
Charizard is just a lizard.
He thinks he's a dragon?
He thinks he's a dragon. Just because he has wings, he's not classified as a dragon. He's classified as a fire type.
Okay. That's interesting to know. I had no clue whatsoever. Wow. These things are crazy.
Oh yeah, and I think it is time to say our
goodbyes.
Our goodbyes, and we'll see you on our next episode on Saturday.
Episode 5, and we aren't even going to tell you what it's about. It's going to be a mystery.
We've talked so much that, you know what? You got to tune in, subscribe, and find out for yourselves.
Like, share, and follow to find out, pretty much.
All right.
This has been Night Talk with your host, Fate2250.
Word up, and Patron Thor.
Y'all have a good night.
Avida Zay.
And adios.